I feel like we should take maybe like a picture of all of us like doing this together.
Yeah, look at my hair.
Because I was thinking this could
My
be...
hair explains that
You're wearing your pancake shirt. Guys, I don't know where my pancake tank top is. I think that's my pancake shirt.
No, it's not. It's from my own house.
Ow. Yeah, but I think I lost mine in the original.
I have to do something with my hair.
No, we have to say something like, obviously our hair's been at the beach for a week.
Welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where I am lucky enough to be in the same place as my sisters. We are actually on vacation physically in the same place in a quiet room recording this episode. I'm staring Becky in the eyes while I do this intro to see how much I can get her to laugh. So she's laughing so hard that she might throw up. Okay.
I also ate a lot of cookies before we started.
So we've been having a wonderful vacation, and we will continue the vacation spirit today. And we will tell some more stories from this vacation as it goes. We will also talk about some of the movies we've been watching, the games we've been playing, and the food we have been eating. Because there has been a lot of food eating. Even since the last episode when we talked all about that delicious pizza.
Oh, yeah.
I was listening to the episode with Mom on the beach, which was hilarious.
Can we release the pictures of Mom
100%.
laughing?
I think
Mom
we need
laughing
to.
Is like...
It was amazing. And she turns around, though, and she's like, why do you guys talk so much about the pizza? She's like, do you think your listeners really care about the pizza? And I was like, well, Shai tried to move on. And Becky was like, I need to talk about the pizza sometimes. Like,
you just gotta
talk about what you gotta talk about. Whether, we can't do everything for the fans.
Also, I operate on the assumption that no one's listening.
Those pictures are amazing, though.
Yeah. Interesting. Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. All right. Just double checking.
So I feel like if you're like, oh, I had a good pizza, everyone will be like, okay, who cares?
That's a good point. I think like, the details matter. We're going to do some more food details on this episode too. And I think let us know, people who are listening. We know there's a few of you and we love you. Let us know what you thought. Okay, but first we're going to talk about one of the activities that was introduced on this vacation, something we've never done before, but where we are in North Carolina, the state which is known as the state that is first in flight. Kite flying is a big deal, and there's a store called Kitty Hawk Kites. Of course, as usual, I get faked out into thinking there's one of these. It seems like they're all over the area.
It's a thing.
But there's Kitty Hawk Kites, and in it they have incredible options for kites. And we bought a rainbow kite that was sort of the easy kite to fly, and then we bought a more advanced kite that was the shape of the Millennium Falcon. And a couple of days ago, we went to the Sound. The Sound is, what exactly is it? It's more beach.
Is it like a bay?
I guess you could say it's like a
boring
bay.
Beach.
Well, because the way that Outer Banks works is just like a street in the middle of the ocean. There's like a highway running through the middle of the ocean, and on one side of the highway there's dunes, and there's the actual Atlantic, and on the other side it's just corralled water that is
like
super
a bay.
calm. Okay. It's like a bay, but the amazing thing about it is that you can walk for about a mile, and it only is about knee deep.
Oh, right, that's it.
So it's like really fun for kids and kayaking.
And a little bit unnerving also, because the kids just keep walking out into the ocean and you're waiting for them to drop, and they don't.
Right.
So we bought these two kites. Now, the one that was the rainbow kite says on the package, easiest possible to fly kite anyone can do. In that level of detail.
For some reason, you were having some trouble. I kept being like, "Shut, just run with it."
Everyone kept wanting you to run down the beach to launch it.
So here I am on the Sound, running back and forth. I looked on my Fitbit, and I took. I did 100 minutes of cardio running back and forth on that day. And then my brother-in-law, Vladimir, who is, a brilliant designer and artist, I figured he could bring his problem-solving artistic brain to this. He starts helping me. We're getting into it. He's lifting up the kite, throwing it in the air. He's throwing it. I'm throwing it. We're taking turns. This thing will go up maybe for a couple of seconds, and then it'll whip around, turn into a circle, and land face first in the ground. At one point, we got it flying for a little bit. Anyways, as we're going back and we are in the parking lot and putting it away, we noticed that there's a piece of it that I had not attached, and it was the tail. And I was like, I wonder if the tail is important for a kite. I thought it was decorative.
And then Mama's all like, oh, of course it's important.
Right.
I knew it was missing the tail. And you're like, well, if you did, why didn't you say anything?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, Mom, the aeronautical whatever engineer. So I'm in the parking lot, and right as we're about to leave, I was like, I really need to see if this works. So I put the tail on the kite, and immediately, without even trying, no running, no nothing, the wind comes, this thing up in the air, and I'm like, woohoo, this is amazing. I'm flying in the parking lot now. And then I see as it goes up, and I'm like, uh-oh, is this supposed to fly near power lines? And I realized
and then Dad is like, this experiment has already been done, Shai, please.
Yeah, Dad goes, Ben Franklin already figured that out.
Yeah.
Pull the kite down.
Yeah.
So I start pulling the kite down, and then I lower it at the level at which a car is coming. And the car has stopped, and it stops
So it was a
traffic.
disaster.
It was a disaster. So that was the first.
Day one kite flying disaster.
And then on the windier day yesterday and today, we broke out the Millennium Falcon kite, at which point my older daughter decided that she would fly the kite, and so we got it up in the air, and I let her. The Millennium Falcon one it's big. It's like 50 inches or something like that. I don't.
It's big.
It's really big.
It's really big. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, but I actually can't think of an item that's that large and round.
It's bigger than a 7-year-old. I'll say that. And it has two tails, not just one tail. It has 2 tails, and so it floats up in the air, and I pass it to my older daughter, and I make a big deal about how she has to hold it with 2 hands, and she ends up holding it for 20 minutes, running back and forth with it, keeping it in the air. It was amazing advanced kite flying. People are pretty impressed because it's a Millennium Falcon.
We're looking pretty cool on the beach.
And then she got tired.
Comments from people. Like, ooh, where did you get that?
Passers-by.
Cool Millennium Falcon kite. Yeah.
It's so pop cultural reference,
Yeah,
but
meta.
retro.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
It's no dumb rainbow kite.
and I'm like, I definitely did not see Solo. I was like,
Everybody was like, oh, watch out for that Han Solo over there. You're like,
Exactly.
pointing at
so
gun finger.
So then Lily's pointing.
Like this
No one
gang
can-
needs a strong cup of coffee before we keep podcasting.
No,
Lily
it's-
looks like she's falling
It's all of the cookies we ate before this.
It's also there's a lot of sun here. I feel like my head is.
Oh my god, my sunburn is so bad.
Oh, we have to get to that.
We have to talk about that later.
Okay, so hold on. So the kite, my daughter does an amazing job flying the kite, and I made a big deal about her. 2 hands, 2 hands, 2 hands. Like on the video, you'll see me going 2 hands. Then she gives it to me within 30 seconds of me holding it.
No,
a
within
Okay.
30 seconds of you holding it, I walk over to you and I'm like, hey, Shai, so when are we going to podcast today? And you're like, and you let go of it. The actual, I don't know if people realize it, it's on a spool.
Yeah.
There's a spool that winds up the
String.
the string that you fly it with, but it's massive and it has tons of string. You let go, it whips straight at my physical body,
Right.
smacks me in the shoulder, knocks me back like a bullet, and then it's gone. It literally flew by itself. We weren't far from the ocean. It flew by itself towards the ocean and into the ocean.
And then we're all kind of looking at it.
Okay, I see you. You just blow right past me. I'm like, ow, man, that hurt. You blow right past me to go get it, and by the time you've run towards the ocean, turned around, come back, Huss is already in the water. because he's
saving
Let's be clear.
I'll
the
take
kite.
care of this.
I
and he like just goes runs and you
No,
come
no,
back
hold
you're
on,
like,
hold
damn
on.
it, my phone, my headphones. And you run back. You're wearing also watching you run in flip flops on the beach is amazing. Then you come back with your flip flops. Just kick off the flip flops. But Shai refuses to walk on the sand, so he runs back with his flip flops. Host is already now like doing like a Baywatch dive into the beach to try to save the kite. Shai runs back and he's like, damn it, my Fitbit. Takes off his Fitbit, his glasses, his hat, throws everything on the ground. Then he runs back into the ocean, and Host is now like swimming into the distance.
And at this point, the kite is gone, right?
you can't
we
even
could
see
it a
it.
few minutes ago. It's
You can't even see it. And then Shai's on the edge of the water. I was like, Shai, just let Hosta take care of this. Okay, he'll take care of it. And Shai's like, no, it's my kite. And I see him reluctantly, like, sort of hippity hop into the water. There's really funny pictures of Shai's experience getting into the water. Every time, like, a wave splashes us, he's trying to get past the waves. He does that, like, cringe face, holds up his hands. It's like, ow. And Hosta's just, like, running over waves, like, galloping over waves. Shai makes it into the water, and Hosta assumes it gets pulled by the current. So he swims to the right to try and look for it.
He was
He's like a dolphin. You were like, I don't know what the exact analogy is.
Smurf? I'm trying
Yeah,
to think.
Smurf got wet. And so then, it's perfect. So then, Shai's like, I'm not going to give up. Hosta comes back to the shore, and he's like, I can't, I don't see it anywhere. Shai's like, I'm not giving up.
No, that's not exactly what happened.
Oh, I thought you
Jose's
were-
in the water. Jose's in the water, and I'm looking for it, and he's looking for it. I'm like, do you see it? He goes, no, I don't see it. And I'm like, all right, I guess it's gone. And then Jose goes, no, go back out of the water and then look for it. And so I walked out while
My version is better. Where you're like, no, I must not give up.
He made a big point of making the point to me that you were like ready to let it go. And then eventually, as I'm spying things from the shore, I see the orange handle of the spool that has now been sucked into the ocean.
Pass me your phone. I have the pictures on your phone.
And I point to it, and I run into the ocean, and I'm running until I get the spool, and then Jose dives in like a dolphin again.
Yes.
Like a gazelle dolphin.
That's a very good analogy.
And he pulls up the kite, and we pulled it out, and then we flew it a few minutes later, and then we put the kite away.
So I learned something at the beach this year. Quickly, if I may interject. So I've been living a bit of a lie. Not for some reason, I have always believed that your legs can't get sunburned. It's just like a part of your body that can't get sunburned. It's like the bottom of your feet. Like certain parts of your body just don't get sunburned.
The bottom of your feet don't get sunburned.
Because you're only wearing
'Cause they're
flip-flops. Because you
No,
don't take
'cause-
off your shoes. But
even like
you
the
don't
top.
walk around on your hands with your feet in the air.
Okay, I'm just saying there's certain parts of you, like the inner part, like certain parts of you just don't get sunburned.
Ironically, though, you're so weird with sunburns. Like, Becky's really weird with the sun. When she goes out to, like, take the trash out, she puts sunscreen on. She's really, really careful with the sun.
Really careful.
And she's the darkest of the three of us.
Yes, she's the darkest of the three of us. But since she moved to California, in a weird way, she's become translucent.
Yeah, no,
The bottom
I
half,
like
her
don't.
legs.
Anyways, I paid the price dearly.
Becky did one of those slapping on the sunscreen
You
without
can
paying
see
attention.
you can see a
things.
handprint on my leg. Did you not know this, Shai? There's literally like a
We're
handprint.
gonna have to take a picture for visual representation.
Oh, where is
Oh, no, there it is.
You can see it. That's
Yeah,
the
there's
handprint
the
right there. Anyways.
And of course, then there's Allie who does the classic. I'm just gonna go take a nap on the beach. Comes back extra crispy every single time.
I don't know. Dad fell asleep with his mouth open, and we were pretty sure the inside of his mouth was going to get sunburned.
And so, as people know, this vacation has been a lot of fun. And one of the things we've done is we've played some games on the vacation. And dear friends of ours, Ariel and Nate and Etta and Miles got for the kids' birthday a card game called Sleeping Queens, which is a card game that, to be frank, has been a game. We did not need to bring any other games on this trip because this has been the most played game by everybody in the family.
Except for Mario Kart. You didn't need to bring any other games because you brought your Nintendo.
That's fair. I brought Mario Kart. That was a
Can we
winner
play
also.
that after this?
Yes, we can. And I think that the game was a little bit confusing for Lily. I think
For Lily?
I think
No.
And nobody understood it, except your 7-year-old, which I find
And Dad.
incredible.
So we're just going to take a couple of minutes and have Lily read some of the instructions to try to make sense of them.
And while I do hate on this game a lot, I have to say, I really like it.
Yeah, it's
no
It is
splendor,
like-
but it's good.
What annoys me though is that it seems like it's like a go fish. Like a little bit is just up to chance. There's no real strategy.
Yeah, there is.
Just like a little bit of strategy.
What's the strategy?
Read some.
Like when you play your Joker, there's no real strategy.
Well, if Lily read a few of the
It's a bit of a go
I'm getting ready. 1 second.
Why? Oh, okay.
I need a mandolin.
Lily needs a little bit of background music. For the first time ever, Friday Night Movie is going to have background music. Hopefully this won't cause any copyright issues for us.
Well, now I'm just playing an ad because I guess Renaissance music is very popular. Okay.
All right, I'll hold the music for you. That's the Renaissance music playing, people. You might want to get closer to the mic for this.
Sleeping Queens. A royally rousing card game. It is not. That is a lie. The object.
You want her to read this part?
Do you want me to read the king?
Just read the instructions.
How to play. The player to the left of the dealer goes first and continues clockwise, which makes no sense because we tried to play that way and everybody was like, damn it, it's not working. It just looks like it's going counterclockwise for some reason. And everybody got confused. So you play a king to awaken a sleeping queen from the center playing area. Place your king face up on the discard pile. Then this is for 7-year-olds. What are the ages? Ages 8 and up. Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, your daughter's a genius. Ages 8 and up, starting at about 50, because nobody understands these. Place your king face up on the discard pile. Then pick any queen from the center area and place it face up in front of you so that all players can see. It is now awake. In quotation marks. If you pick the lucky rose queen, you get to wake up an additional sleeping queen. So it's basically only the men can wake up the women. And then if you happen to get the rose one, she comes with like a friend.
Now Lily, there
And
are
you have a threesome?
There are other cards. There are knights and
The knights and the dragons, the sleeping potion, and the
but
wands.
the knights can steal.
The knight can steal any of your opponent's awakened queens, so you can steal
Can I
other people's
ask you,
women.
what can the queens do?
Nothing. They just have
They just
points.
they just are like have pretty names and
Okay,
are
so
Pretty
now-
names.
now let's go-
Can we go over some of their names?
Yeah, let's go over. I'm going to just show you flashcards, some of the cards that you can get in this game. It is not a traditional hearts and spades things, which our parents were very
let's
confused
just go to the real reason why you bought this game. We know the real
There's
reason.
a pancake queen.
There's a pancake queen.
There is a pancake.
But I like
queen.
how this game is extremely complicated and yet like tries to do things for children, like have them have a cat queen and a dog queen. But if they can't understand how to play the goddamn game,
But I
what's
gotta
the
tell
point?
you,
So look, you can get a
your
card
younger
that's just
child
like-
is very into all the cat queen and the dog queen.
There
and
you
all
go,
that.
and you can see. Look, you can. So there's something with 6 ladybugs. You can get a card of 6 ladybugs. Or
This
a
game is
dragon.
pretending it's simple, but
And
it's
then
actually
look, you can
quite
get. There's
complex.
one with 4 poodles.
Yet at the same time, I feel like I need to recommend this to adults everywhere.
I thought it was super fun.
Yeah, super fun game. Okay, so that is a game that we've been playing on this vacation.
Sleeping Queens, but leave it to.
And I want to pretend it's
Why
because
does-
of the 7-year-old, but it's really just because I like it.
Alright.
Why do your friends who seem really nice? Why do they need to recommend games that start like the 16th century and before? Like why can't
You mean like Settlers of Catan and
Right.
Splendor and
Right,
All right,
and,
so
like,
we're gonna kill the
the
music.
Spanish tile game?
Oh yeah, we did play a game with
What's
them.
the Spanish title?
They found like a really fun Saturday night would be they should get together and play a board game that was all about taking and buying and reselling old-fashioned Spanish tiles.
What?
Yeah.
And we sent Lily pictures
And there's
during
a
the
board
game, and
game.
Lily's like, "Oh, those are famous Spanish tiles."
They are, but this is like boring. This makes boring look super boring.
So, okay. Now on to our first topic of today. In our last episode, Lily talked about the notion of seeing Super Troopers for her first time and wanting to go back in time and feel that experience. And I thought it would be fun to talk about movies where the context when we saw them was as great as the actual movie experience. So, do you have a movie, either of you, where if you were to go, you would like to go back in time and experience that feeling of seeing it again? That the nostalgia or the pull or the uniqueness of it makes it so great.
Or just, I feel like it's more, I want to even say it more has to do with you'll never get back sort of how it impacted you or how much you loved it or how funny you thought it was as then. And if I could go back to that time and see a movie,
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think it's. I mean, Clueless and Empire Records. Those two movies do represent like a time. I know I had mentioned Romeo and Juliet. I was like, you guys know I love that movie, and that like you and Titanic, Becky, like that. Like if you saw Titanic as an adult today,
you're right. That actually trumps all the other ones I was thinking.
You'd think
the way I
it's really
experienced Titanic as a 13-year-old, nothing can. I can't replicate that. I mean, there's no way to ever replicate that experience. I saw it like 3 times in theaters.
4.
No, 3 times in theaters, and then I bought the VHS double tape.
Oh, those double tapes.
Yeah.
Woo, that was heavy.
Woof. That was,
Did you ever just start at the second tape just to get to the part that's actually about the Titanic crashing, or?
No, because the first part is what like you'd want to watch, is like when they meet and all that.
Oh God, the part is like watching paint dry. It's like.
Anyway, so yeah, like that's like a movie that brings you back, or like we said, Super Troopers, where you just thought things were so funny then.
So why Clueless? Why Empire Records?
Because those movies, like my mind was blown as a teenager. Loved the humor. Like I feel like I hadn't experienced humor like that in a movie. The sarcasm, the pop cultural references, the clothes. Alicia Silverstone. I mean, that movie was like
the music in Empire Records.
The music in both movies was a big deal. When as a kid would I have cared that much about a movie soundtrack? But I had the soundtracks to both of those movies, and those are just like an epic time of being like a teenager. And if I saw them as an adult, there's no way I'd experience them the same way. Maybe your kids wouldn't even experience them the same way. But those are 2 movies that I would say.
I think of those
impacted.
2, Clueless, because Allie and I went to an actual screening with Amy Heckerling, the director.
That sounds amazing.
So
That's like
cool.
a dream
I
come
can't believe you
true.
got to do that.
It was amazing. B, that movie really holds up. That movie holds up really, really well. But one of the reasons why it holds up is because Paul Rudd is such an enduring treasure that if he had been some random guy that came and went,
you might not care as much.
You might not care as much, and you might not be rooting for him as much.
But it's Paul Rudd.
But now it's Paul Rudd, so it's like, oh, Paul Rudd. Yeah, you want the characters to end up together.
I guess that's a good point.
Although weirdly, I can never tell Paul Rudd's age because he looks the same.
He looks the exact same in that movie.
He's like always 30, which was weird that he's in that movie.
Yeah,
but he's always just about 30.
And Becky, how about you? So Titanic?
I would say, yeah, Lily's right. Titanic, it was, it's a particular moment in time because when that movie came out, it was the ice storm in Montreal, remember? And the entire city was just like a frozen ice field, and the only thing there was to do was to go to the Cavendish Mall and watch that movie. And
Shout out to the Cavendish Mall.
Shout out to the Cavendish Mall.
Do you remember Cattleman's Pizza?
No.
That's before your time. But there was this place. So in the days of when I went, which was probably the early 90s, late 80s, there were some restaurants and things that were there that were like the only places. It was a pre-food court. And there was a place called Cattleman's. And one of the things they had was pizza. And I remember lining up and getting pizza at Cattleman's and then going to Kohl's Books.
Kohl's Books, I remember that.
I remember
buying some Kohl's Notes.
The big things was going
which the rest of the world calls Cliff Notes, but we had Kohl's Notes in Canada.
True. Kohl's Notes. Going to Laura's Secord and buying those lollipops. That was a big Cavendish Mall highlight every time.
And then when the Cavendish Mall got a movie theater, boy.
So at Cavendish Mall got a movie theater, and we would just go to the Cavendish Mall and watch this movie. And I think it was like the first time in my life where I felt like I was seeing like a grown-up movie and I understood it. And it was like this important epic movie, and I got to be a part of that. I wasn't too young, I wasn't too little, I was like allowed to go see it. It was like probably PG-13 or whatever, who knows, but I could go see it with my friends. And so I feel like that's why it's a really epic moment in time.
That's cool. I saw that movie once. I got to admit, I was a little bit weepy, but to this day, I still don't understand. With all the pieces that were floating out there,
no, it makes no sense.
Why does he have to sing?
He doesn't have to sing. It's just for the movie.
I don't think I necessarily love it now, nor would I want to rewatch it now.
But can someone just...
It doesn't endure for me the way, let's say, like Clerks or Clueless does for you guys. But for me, that was just like, if you talk about that, experiencing a movie in a really special way for the first time. Oh, my baby's awake.
So my movie, I have a couple movies, but so my movie is a very specific moment in time, and it's similar to what Becky was saying, is feeling grown up. although I was a little bit older. But it was when... What was the name of the video store? There was a video store in Montreal that was in the same place as a Million Comics. And it eventually became the Videotron video store, but it had another name before that. Well, whatever that video store was used to go downstairs, and on one side on Queen Mary, and one side of the store was the video store, and the other side of the store was the comic book store, where Josh and I spent tons of money. And that video store had one of the earliest stores where you'd have a deal where it was like 3 movies for $10 for 2 days or something like that. And I remember really clearly coming home from school early when we used to have early release. It's a liberal way of describing what we did in high school.
Sure.
And we'd go on the walk home, we'd stop by Queen Mary, rent some movies with friends, and we'd stay at, hang out at someone's house and watch a movie. And I remember very distinctly Josh, me, Alana, Austin, and Naomi Wall rented this movie we had never heard of before, but it was in that 90s era's that 90s era's grunge kind of era, and we saw the movie Clerks. Didn't know anything it was about, had not heard of Kevin Smith, didn't even know it was in black and white. And we started the movie, and very confused by the opening scene, and then where Dante gets pelted by cigarettes, and then I think there's something like that. And then a few minutes into it, they have a conversation about Star Wars and whether or not the people who were building the second Death Star were members of the Empire or whether they were just independent contractors who got killed by accident. And it was this whole... And in that movie, they talk about how Empire Strikes Back is quote-unquote the better movie. It was the first time in my life I had ever heard anyone say Empire Strikes Back was the better movie. I never even occurred to me. Because I'm such a...
Doesn't Mom say that?
Maybe, I don't know. But I was such a Return of the Jedi kid that it was the first time... But these guys are a little bit older than us. Anyways, that movie blew my mind. It influenced the way we made jokes, the way we talked. We saw every Kevin Smith movie after that. Silent Bob and Jay were iconic to us after that. All of the Quickie Mart stuff, the Soul Asylum song in the movie, everything in that movie was just, we couldn't stop repeating the jokes. So that was a big deal. And also because it was so R-rated. I mean, it was an extremely R-rated movie for that time. But it was all dialogue. We were a little bit... We felt like we were doing something really special and exciting. And then the other thing that I would go back in time to do, and we've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it 100 more times, it was on the sick days when any combination of the three of us were home, and we would watch either The Untouchables, Who's Harry Crumb, or Married to the Mob, while eating a special production of my multiple layer nachos that I used to make. So we'd be home with like a stomach flu, and I'd be making nachos for everybody.
That is 100% true.
Delicious. So those are all movies that we would go back in time to the moments when we watched them to watch. And speaking of movies and times we watched them, we watched a few more things on this vacation since we last recorded. I think we're picking up a pretty solid pace here.
Yeah, we're watching.
You didn't believe that we'd watch anything.
Yeah,
You're like, I'll believe it when I see it. Literally, I'll believe it when I see it.
I laid down the gauntlet. We were losing our mojo. As a family who watched so many movies together, we almost were not able to schedule it anymore with the birth of the children.
Well, it's because, we're not sitting down to dinner until 9. By the time we're done dinner and cleaned up, it's like 10:30. It's like 10:30, creeping up on 11.
I'm yawning just listening to that schedule.
We get like an hour. We have to do all the movies as 2-parters now.
That's true.
Not all of them, but look, I'd rather do a 2-parter than not see it at all.
That's true. So we did one as like a palate cleanser, which was The Life of the Party with Molly, what's her name? Not Molly.
McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy.
How was that? I had to go to sleep.
It was exactly
I couldn't make it to the end.
It was exactly what I expected to. It was a solid rent-to-med, but not bad. It delivered on its promise of
Melissa McCarthy. But it's no like Love, Simon, or Bloggers.
Right.
I would say.
Or as far as Melissa McCarthy, like
it's not. It doesn't touch it with a 10-foot pole on every other movies.
The Heat. The Heat is a movie I own in multiple formats and can watch anytime. I find it
really need to see The Heat.
So funny. Oh, we have to watch
seen
that
it?
later.
Oh, the one where she plays the spy. I only got about a half hour into it,
love
but I
that
laughed
one.
so hard.
So that was the secret.
I only
the
had a
secret,
chance to watch like a half
That was the
hour.
secret great one because Mom and Lily watched it.
I watched it.
And they told me to watch it, and Allie and I started watching it one night. And there's a point where she's throwing up out the window.
She kills her first person, and as a spy, and she just starts throwing up. And Mom and I were cackling.
That movie had great physical comedy, and it had great Statham in it. There was hilarious Jason Statham in that.
Rose Byrne is in that movie too.
Yeah,
She's great.
That movie
great.
was.
She needs to be in more stuff.
That movie was really, really funny. So Melissa McCarthy, Life of the Party.
Here's the thing, though, is that that movie she made with her husband. Her husband directed it and wrote it. And I feel like they're movies that I love them so much. They're so cute. I just feel like her worst movies are his movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I feel kind of bad saying that.
Why? What are his
Not
other
that
movies?
I think that they're listening.
You know what I think one of the
Did
problems...
he make The Boss? I love The Boss.
No, he may have, but he made the one where her identity gets stolen or something.
Tammy?
Or the one where she played... I'm just going to look it up.
I know what it's called. Anyways, here was what I thought was actually weak about the movie was the supporting cast.
It's no blockers.
They don't have a good supporting cast. Like
Who
the
else was
actors
in that movie?
just weren't
Jacobs.
No, like
she's cute. But
she's cute, but like
not
the daughter and the friends, they weren't funny enough. Like I just don't think they cast
compare them
good
to
comedic
the
actors
or characters who really carried it in an age appropriate way the way the ones in Blockers and
did.
Love Simon did. That's fair. But Melissa McCarthy,
she did
always
the
gold.
He did The Boss with her. That's I take that back.
And I love The Boss.
I haven't
Did we
seen
watch
it
The
yet.
Boss with Mom?
No,
I watched The Boss with Mom.
But he made Tammy. That movie was...
But there's a scene, and there's a few scenes in The Boss that, again, watch that movie with Mom, and it's a bye. So,
okay.
And so Life of the Party was...
Done and done.
Melissa McCarthy, always gold. The movie around it could have been better, but the scene with him in it was amazing.
Well,
I wish he would direct or write a movie where they were actually in the whole movie together.
I know.
Because they have
great chemistry.
They're holding out for us.
He's in The Heat also, by the way, in a very funny scene.
I feel like he makes a cameo in all her movies.
He is so funny and so talented. So I think that we're just waiting for the right thing to come together, and
or enough funding for them to hire really good supporting cast.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other movie we watched over 2 nights, and I feel like there was a lot of the Yiddish word is Deadpool 2.
No, Looper.
Oh, well played.
Which one? Wait, which movie was that? Oh, it was Deadpool 2. Sorry, I got confused when we hit the second act. I was like, oh, did someone turn on Looper? Because it's the same story.
So, Deadpool 2, first of all, there was a lot of the Yiddish word is Bregus around the watching of Deadpool 2.
Or, like, you said it perfectly. As soon as that dad got up and went to bed, he was like, whoa, way to yuck somebody's yam.
Yeah, Mom and Dad were intent.
No, but then Mom got on board.
Well, because she thinks like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
We could have told her this was the proposal too. She would have believed us and thought it was really
For
fun.
sure.
So I'd like your impressions of Deadpool 2. This is my second time seeing Deadpool 2, so I have a sort of rewatch impression to share on different things.
I thought that it took far too long for me to know what the movie was about. And by the time it's like midway through the second act, I'm like, oh, so this is just what the plot is going to be? I was like, okay, but I don't get why it's important. So I think because they didn't set up Cable enough, I didn't really get why the whole storyline was important. Now, not to compare it to Looper, but because the main character is, or like the Bruce Willis character is set up so well, you really care about the outcome of Act 3. And I just sort of felt like...
So what's funny is that Looper... I liked Act 1 and 2 of Looper. And then Act 3, when Looper is essentially the same plot as not just Deadpool 2, but I was like, when did this movie become X-Men? For the second half of Looper,
right,
I was like, ugh, I don't care.
It's true, it does become very X-Men-y. There's a lot of crossovers. Maybe they felt like they could borrow it back. They're like, you're living in our world, buddy.
But this story, well, I think so, but this story, it's not like this is some iconic superhero story of Deadpool that I know about, because I think the Deadpool in the movies, to the extent that I know about it, is the character is what they keep, and then the story is really what they have sort of threaded him through, so you can see the character. Because last night you guys were asking me questions about Deadpool 1.
There's like nothing
I couldn't
to
tell
say.
You know what it
anything
is?
about the plot of
You know what it
movie.
is? I felt like, here's the thing. The superhero movies these days are too focused, or, I mean, not too focused. Their focus is these huge intergalactic world battles and massive, huge bad guys that are going to destroy cities and worlds and people. So it was nice to have a superhero.
But then when you watch a movie like this, like Black Panther.
It's nice to have a movie where it's actually like a contained, more intimate story of just like this is one in a chain of events. But it's hard for me to finish my thought. I can't remember what I'm going to say, Lily. I don't have many brain cells left.
Just go on.
Too much sun and baby rearing.
Oh, God. Wait, hold on. Blah, 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 blah. So it's a contained story. Oh, but it felt like it was just a continuation of his origin story. And I'm like, didn't we just spend the whole first movie doing an origin story? Why do I need a part 2 origin story?
So here's
now you can go.
Wait, no, I was just gonna say that like sometimes
when
we watch a movie like Infinity War, which is 7 movies in one, it's like you get a lot for your money. In that sense, you get to a superhero movie like this, and you're like, oh, there's just one plot. I can't believe it. I guess it's boring. And you're watching and you're like, I guess we have to wait and see if he saves the day. End of story.
But I didn't find it boring.
It's only just
found
one
it took too
story.
long. It just took too long to tell us what it was about.
So
it does take too long to get
the whole time he's meeting the kid, you're like, and?
So here's where I come down in the second time to Becky's point that I totally forget, but to Becky's
It's like a part 2 origin story.
A part 2 origin story is that I don't. Deadpool, the character in the comics, to the extent that I understand his evolution, because I was reading comics when he was actually introduced as kind of this badass mercenary who is actually a purposeful knockoff of a character from DC Comics. So Wade Wilson is a knockoff on purpose of Deathstroke, Deathstroke.
So he's always been kind of a joke.
Yeah, exactly. He was always kind of a meta joke. The name of Deathstroke in DC Comics, who's an enemy of Batman, and in the TV shows he's the enemy of Arrow. Mangione is going to play him in the next Batman movie. Deathstroke, I'll show you a picture of him. Deathstroke, his name is Slade Wilson.
That's hilarious.
So really funny. I did not know that.
So it's always been that Deadpool was a little bit of a wink and a nod. A little
bit. It's a wink and a nod.
Yeah, look, that's what Deathstroke looks like.
Oh, that's really funny.
That's what Deathstroke looks like.
Got it, yeah.
Okay.
With
the ninja with swords and guns.
Yeah.
There, look, he just looks like a orange and yellow version of Deadpool.
Right.
So, and then over time, they developed this increasingly insane version of Deadpool that was living in his own reality. And he becomes heroic at times, and he has a moral code at times, but I think once you're casting Ryan Reynolds in a role and you're making a movie that is marketed to people to actually like and not a very kind of edgy comic, you need to ultimately have a certain amount of the hero's journey for him. And this movie was clearly transitional. They had this edgy R-rated, like I always felt it was like a 90s Pulp Fiction style kind of insane first movie.
Agreed.
Where he saves the girl, but aside from that, it's really about just blowing your mind with how crazy Deadpool is and what they could be doing with the superhero. This movie is like the Iron Man 2 of the Deadpool series, but they did a better job than Iron Man 2 because for Deadpool to continue just him going on adventures as a crazy person, I don't think that'll work for a number of movies. So he has to evolve, and they had to evolve him from a point of being a solo guy to someone who would actually be on a team, which he never 100% is in the comics. Sometimes he wants to be on a team, and sometimes he's just too crazy to be on the team. But they needed to set you up for, frankly, X-Force. I know they joked about X-Force in the movie, but the original X-Force is led by Cable and Domino and a few other characters.
Can we just talk about how much we love Domino?
Zazie Beetz.
Domino is the Valkyrie of this franchise.
She does it so well. She's super cool. We also have to talk about Julian Dennison, the kid. Julian Dennison is adorable. The kid from
Fire Fist.
Yeah, Fire Fist. Is he an actual? Is he?
I think he is, but I have to say, as a comic book watcher, there's a lot of young X-Men characters that have been significant over the years, and Fire Fist is not one I even knew existed. I mean, I think he existed, but he wasn't one of any significance to me.
This kid is hilarious. You need to see, if you have not seen Hunt for the Wilder People.
We can bring it back up in our rec section.
I'm going to bring it back up in the rec section because it is directed by Taika Waititi, who is the director of Thor and Ragnarok. And
is it a serious movie?
No, kind of. Well, it's like a dark dark comedy.
Okay.
And What We Do in the Shadows. And he's hilarious. The kid is just really good. The thing is, I feel like the movie had a lot of really great bits. And the story is very much a secondary thing. And so I just think they could have, not to bring it back to Super Troopers 2, which is just bits, but they managed to move the story along in a quite orderly fashion. Whereas, like, you get a bunch of bits and then you're like, oh, the plot moves on. And then a bunch of bits. This was just like bit. And then you're like, oh, I guess we're in a movie now. And they sort of start the story halfway through.
I feel like literally the entire plot of the movie could have happened in the first 1.5 acts. And then you could have had another half, like 1.5 acts to then do a story of, like, them now working as a team. Like, I don't think you needed an entire movie.
Becky's 100% right. Because once
this is about half a movie for me.
And not to do spoilers, but Cable, I love that, like, he's a super bad guy and then he kind of joins with them. You know, that's, like, very X-Men-y. That's really fun. But Becky's right. Like, if that happened halfway through it, I'm like, oh, now I won't watch this movie.
Well, that's why I say it's like the Iron Man 2. This one was about bringing the ensemble. The thing I like about this is that I like Deadpool in an ensemble in the long run, and I like the characters they chose to bring in from X-Men. Domino and Cable are great X-Men characters that I'm surprised it's taken this long for them to put together. And I thought Brolin was great as Cable. I imagined other actors playing him, but I thought Brolin was great. Now,
do you prefer Brolin as Cable or Thanos?
I know we've watched a lot of
and
Brolin.
Isn't that weird that they cast him in both roles?
I think they cast him in Cable because he did a good job at Thanos, and Cable is a much more.
I feel like Hollywood is like, you did good ones. They're like, we'll just use you. I mean, look at J.J. Abrams.
Like, they're so...
they just really like somebody and they stick with them. But it's the best is that Ryan Reynolds calls him Thanos. So then he's like, okay, Thanos. The meta is delicious to watch. Like, it's super fun as a fan of movies and TV and pop culture to watch Ryan Reynolds. You got to be quick and to catch all the jokes.
And you know that he knows all those jokes. These aren't just
wrote.
lines.
I mean, like Becky said, he obviously wrote it. He did write it.
And so that
he's part of the writing
love.
team.
I will say the meta. So in the second watching of the movie, I didn't like it as much the second time. I loved it in the theater, and I still kind of like parts of it more than the second one.
I feel like I would have liked it more if I was watching it in a big stadium theater and I had popcorn and maybe some like Reese's Pieces and like a soda, and it was like a fun act, you know, like there was like more going on for me to distract me from the lame plot.
That being said, I love Morena Baccarin.
Macarena?
Macarena?
Lorena say her name really fast. It's just Macarena.
She can be in anything as far as I'm concerned. And even though, look, put it this way. Deadpool in love in a consistent way as a fan of the comics is a little bit hard to wrap your head around because he's such a crazy character. It's believable that he's in love with her.
Oh, yeah, and that she loves him. They do a really good job.
Yeah, the whole kiss me like you miss me red thing is really, really well done. And I follow her on Instagram, and she is a joy to follow on Instagram.
Really?
She's just kind of, she's funny and does stuff for friends. And, okay, so there's that. Now, another thing we did was Becky and Shai brought Lily something with high Epspectations. Now, Becky, would you like to explain what Epspectations are?
An Epspectation is when you're sharing an episode of something that you love and find hilarious or special or amazing with someone else, and you're watching them watch the show with very high expectations that they will love it as much as you.
And if you blow it, it can lead to a case of...
show embarrassment.
Exactly.
Show embarrassment.
Show embarrassment. Lily, we showed you Detroiters, specifically the episode The Third Floor, which I recently showed Josh.
I have so much to say. Oh my
own show embarrassment because he was like,
Okay, here's the thing. When I showed it to Vlad, he was like, all right.
Okay, cool. Here's the thing.
There's a poop joke. Funny.
I watched the third floor. And that's this episode. I recommend anybody to watch it right now. Before having finished that episode, I had to stop watching it because we had to go have dinner. And so, like, I watched half an episode, and already at dinner I was cracking jokes, like saying lines of the episode because, like, you know, because I was like so into it. The episode you showed me is one of the funniest pieces. Has one of the funniest pieces of television bit I've ever seen. I can see how the show, not every episode is good. It's not a Parks and Rec, where like pretty much every episode hits the mark.
I will say some episodes.
I can see how some episodes
are not my
if they go
taste.
into their like personal stories too much or whatever. I get that, but the Office bits that they have going on are just the two of them together and their stupidity. If a show makes you cackle out loud, like at least once during an episode, I feel like you're good.
Yeah, and Mom.
You can't like trash it.
Mom sat down next to you. She wasn't even
That's
watching.
also a hard
She
thing to say
wasn't?
because I was watching it with her. And
Yeah,
No, but she wasn't watching it. She was just reading the
She
subtitles.
was just reading the
couldn't
subtitle
hear
because
it.
there weren't enough headphones to go around.
Yeah, because we could not play this loud
with children around and like people making dinner and stuff. So we did it like on the DL. We watched it and Mom was just reading the subtitles and was hysterical.
She was laughing so hard she was crying. I actually have video footage of you guys laughing with Mom watching this.
So funny.
But so you can't hear the shit.
Part of the funniest thing is that I watched it with you guys, which makes it great. So when you said Josh didn't like it, my first thought was because he didn't watch it with you. You're like, no, he did. And I'm like, Josh has some of the most questionable taste.
Ooh, Josh, you're
How can
being
you
called
trust
out.
him?
You were being called out.
How
He
can you
has
trust
quite questionable taste because he.
But to be fair, he is the most I told you shows along with Becky in my life. Of things.
I'm not saying his taste isn't impeccable, but
I
it's
feel like he
also
also
at
has
times
a lot of
questionable.
weird choices, like his whole like sci-fi Netflix rabbit hole.
That's true. That's true. Show show the guy a post-apocalyptic story of a show that
He's
probably won't
the
get
like
renewed.
post-apocalyptic space sort of Battlestar Galactica to Allie's random like drecky romantic comedies that she likes.
Hallmark channel.
Hallmark channels. Like there's two people I respect so much and love their taste, and there's just like this one like outlier like taste bud that they have. But Josh, I'm genuinely surprised that he did not like Detroiters because who doesn't like a good poop joke?
No, and it's a really good one.
Like it's hard to make new poop jokes, and in the two episodes you showed me, there's multiple very original poop jokes. Like I was impressed.
And the other episode we watched was in the most recent season. I think the episode is called Donor. I'm not 100% sure, but that episode, which involves the creation of a no emissions car, is quite funny. So, all right. So let's a good segue into recommendations. Now, today's recommendations are going to start with a food recommendations section because yesterday we went on a very long walk and then met where we had to be picked up on the way because it was too long to walk all the way there, although we probably should have. And we went to a place called the Orange Blossom Bakery and Cafe, where they serve a legendary food item called the Appe Ugly, which Mom kept calling the Ugly Betty because she loves America Ferrera. And
can't remember anything.
And can't remember, exactly what the names of things are. And to describe the Appe Ugly, first of all, it's the size of a basketball? Football?
Basketball.
A professional basketball.
I feel like you could definitely compare it to that.
And how would you describe what it is made of?
Well, I described it as a Cinnabon had sex with an apple cobbler, but Becky, who's more of the chef, took it to the next level and said it was a Cinnabon and a donut had sex with an apple pie and made a baby.
Yeah.
So what it is
Made a three-way baby.
A three-way baby.
Imagine a circular Rosh Hashanah challah from Kosher Quality in Montreal.
Specifically.
Specifically.
If you don't know that challah, then you don't know what we're talking about.
Or, but just imagine a circular challah that you would get on the high holidays in the fall. And then a section of it sort of gets carved open and filled with hot, caramelly, steamy, amazing apples. And then the whole thing seems to be drenched in like cinnamon and goo, and then
But like
deep
glazed.
fried. And then deep fried.
And then there's like a glaze
glazed
on it, which is the donut part. That's
Is it deep
why.
fried though?
Definitely, it's not deep
Sure
fried.
as heck was.
Yes.
It was not sous vide. It was it was not
Okay.
poached.
Yes.
It was super fried. And then when you pick one of these up, I don't know, it's like 3 or 4 pounds. It's pretty heavy.
Oh, is there some left over upstairs?
Fills up an entire
There
plate. And so we put that down in the center of the plate, and then we ordered some sandwiches. And I ordered something called the Mondo
Can I
sandwich.
have a question? Did you guys know to only order one for the table, or did anyone warn you, or did you like accidentally?
I've been there
order two of
before.
each?
Lily had been there before, so we ordered one for the table.
I was there 2 years ago, and I was like, Shine needs to come to this place.
So we ordered-
I'm not gonna lie, maybe the vacation was built around the fact that I wanted to try to eat there.
The real reason why we
Respectable.
ended up here.
Apple
It's a good
Ugly,
reason.
Apple Ugly for the table, and it beat us. We did not finish it. There was 5 adults, and we did not finish it.
There's
And
2 more upstairs.
there's 2 more upstairs. And so the Apple Ugly for the table is there, and we're munching on it. That's incredible. But there were other guest appearances. There was my Mondo sandwich, which this is a situation where I think when you're ordering and you've never been to the place before, and the thing that you're ordering is in big, bold, colorful letters on the menu, you got to just order what they offer. You don't make substitutions. You say, I want the Mondo. They say, what bread do you want it on? I say, tell me what bread this
Exactly.
goes on.
You tell, yeah.
And so they gave it to me on their Italian bread. It was a layer of bread, a layer of cheese, essentially an omelet. It was enough egg that was like an omelet, with a layer of bacon in between the egg and the omelet, and then another layer of sausage patties, and then another piece of bread. And it was out of this world amazing. I ate a whole one. It was super, super long. The sandwich, super large and long, was very. I had to cut it in half and eat both pieces, but I ate it all. But then there were other guest appearances by a chocolate-covered donut.
Oh, which was, I mean, you guys I ate those donuts a good 36 hours, like, old. It was amazing. I can't imagine what it would taste like fresh, because old donuts, this was mind-blowing. I'm thinking of going upstairs right now and getting another
To be
bite.
precise, it was a cake donut covered in a layer of chocolate that might as well have been.
A melted chocolate bar.
Yeah.
They might as well have just melted an entire chocolate bar on it. It was so good.
So we were cutting those up and eating pieces of those, and then Allie shows up with this chocolate-covered chocolate muffin, which
Who I never even got a bite of because that was gone fast.
Which
Your kiddos.
I had a little bite of, but I had eaten so much at that point that I was a
didn't
little
matter.
bit dazed.
Like, you couldn't even, like, taste
I had
anything.
brain damage from the
I remember asking, I was like, how you doing? You're like, I'm emotional. I can't speak.
Yes, exactly. And so I tasted that, but Allie said it was the best chocolate muffin she's ever had. Might have even rivaled the chocolate cake from Busch Gardens.
No.
So that was a huge, amazing eating experience. Another recommendation I think we all have is our mother busted out for the first time in probably 20 plus years. She made with the kids
Rice Krispie Squares.
Rice Krispie
Where
Squares.
have you been all my life? Rice Krispie Squares.
I want you to know, when we were finished making the Rice Krispie Squares, we told the girls they couldn't have them right away because we had to put them in the fridge
and
to
then
let them
Becky
set.
went and just took a piece for
No,
herself.
I waited until they turned their backs and walked away, and I stuck my whole body in the fridge and just ate directly out of the tray. And then I had them for breakfast this morning.
You were like, this is a breakfast food. But there's something about
It
the way
is a
your
breakfast
mom
food.
made the Rice Krispie
It's
Squares.
because she always made them with margarine, not butter, which is why they why I think hers taste better. I don't like regular Rice Krispie Squares because they taste like butter, and hers taste like margarine.
She also has she's a good marshmallow to crispy ratio.
That's right.
She doesn't over marshmallow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She doesn't over, she doesn't under. It's right on. But it's not one of those ones
God.
where it's so under marshmallow that you don't know that marshmallows are in it. And you're just asking
Sometimes you
yourself.
just hit with like a nice chewy glob of marshmallow.
So Mom's Rice Krispie Squares.
And tonight we're gonna do a bonfire. Let's see if this Corrin family is capable of
I
doing a
need a- I
bonfire
need
on
a
the
nap.
beach and roast some s'mores. Let's see if that happens.
All right. Well, that is the last challenge in the
In the vacation,
family
it's the
challenge.
last day of vacation, guys.
And then another thing that we played that was cooking related, or I would say I would recommend in my recommendations more cooking related, is Ash from the Behind the Music and the Gold Nerds, aka at Comedy Girl on comedy_girl on Twitter. She is a Nintendo expert and advised me on the games before coming on this vacation to play on our Nintendo Switch, and we got this game Overcooked, which is a team cooperation game the three of us have not played together, where people have to take turn, like people have to help each other get through a kitchen situation of like slicing the vegetables and making the recipes and then handing things out to the customers.
It's the
and
worst.
washing
I can't believe you had to pay for this game and it wasn't free. Like,
And
they should pay you to use it.
I
It's
loved
so bad.
it, but it definitely gave
How do
Allie
you
a
love
panic
it?
attack.
How do you love it?
'Cause it was
It's
fun.
so boring. Oh my god, I don't see. You must have to be so
The
good at
kids
video
got very
games.
mad at me when I played
It's
this.
really
The kids
hard,
got very
too.
mad, and Allie was
Char's
so
like, don't
anxious.
serve that food. You need a plate. You need a plate.
And then yeah, and it was fun. And so, okay, so with that, anyone else have any recommendations? If not, then we'll go to shoutouts.
Hunt for the wilder people.
Hunt for the wilder people.
So what's it about?
It is
just watch it.
Just watch it.
It's about a boy who's is he
it a coming of
orphaned
age
or
No,
is it?
it's a boy that ends up in social services.
And he's adopted, or he's taken in by a foster family, and he and the father of the foster family, one thing leads to another, and they basically get stranded in the woods, and it's like a kind of adventure kind of chase
The foster
movie.
father is not happy to have a foster kid. It was his wife that wanted a kid to foster a kid, and so Sam Neill is brilliant, and it ends up being the two of them. And this kid is like
stranded in the woods, and he has to survive, like a survival.
Like he's a city kid, and they're out in the middle of nowhere, New Zealand, and it's just brilliant.
Okay, Hunt for the Wilder People. Alrighty, any other recs? How about some shoutouts?
I would also like to recommend Ocracoke Island.
It's a beautiful little island with some nice craft stores.
Some good craft stores.
I recommend before you go, take a Benadryl.
Just check the ferry lines. Shai was not a fan of the extensive ferry lines.
That's my other recommendation.
I took a Benadryl that morning because I was covered in mosquito bites, and
For some reason was exhausted then after.
And super cranky.
For the rest of the day.
I was sleepy and I was confused for 3.5 hours.
I had to walk you to the bathroom. I found you meandering outside the docks.
That's
and
true.
he's like, "Where's the bathroom? Can you take me?" And then he goes, "Why is the building so stripy?" I was like, "Oh my gosh! I thank God you never did drugs because."
Yeah, the Benadryl alone, I kept falling asleep saying, "Why am I so tired?" Taking the Benadryl.
Shockingly, he didn't like the day trip.
Shoutouts?
Shoutouts. So I got shoutouts to. We talked a lot about speaking French last week in the previous episode. How we love the French, the made-up French words, part of Super Troopers 2. And so because of that, I want to shout out to Madame Granger, my French teacher, who we've engaged with on Twitter and reconnected with. Because without her, I don't think that I would have enjoyed the jokes in that movie as much, and enjoyed and understood all the words without having to read the subtitles. So
That is
thank you.
hilarious. Shout outs, Cousin Vanessa, who went back to work after some mat leave. So we're thinking of you and we love you. And
We'll FaceTime you later.
yeah, well, we can do a FaceTime later. And shout out to these two siblings of mine.
Yeah, it's really great to do this in
It's
person.
so fun to do it in person. It's really, really, really special. I love doing it in person, and we're not sure. It's going to be a few months, so we get to hang out, all three of us together again.
I will
so
say
it's special.
I pay attention way more when we're in person than when I'm sitting on my desk.
Really?
Really,
This is
that's
more
not
attention?
saying a lot.
Oh my goodness.
And I also want to shout out to the place, Shai, you know better handles and stuff like that.
sundogsfire.com.
I'm wearing my pancake for the table t-shirt while we record, and it's the best. It's so comfy, and I can't wait to order some plates. So you should go online and buy yourself some merchandise.
Exactly. And where can people follow you?
Chichi K. Gomez on Twitter.
And you?
Paper BK Princess.
And you can follow me at Pancake4Table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow the whole Pancake Media breakfast table at pancake4table.com. You can follow this podcast alone at FridayNightMoviePod.com. Please rate us and review us on iTunes and share with your friends. We really appreciate any little bit of raising awareness because we love sharing our little family table with everybody. And with that, the theme music kicks in and we dance and we dance and we dance. And that is it. Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you. It's like a Cinnabon and a donut
No,
fucked an apple pie. That's the only way to describe it.
an apple cobbler.
Pie. No, they're talking about cobbler. That is pure
not-
apple pie
Is
filling.
it pie?
It's like an American. Now I'm imagining the scene from American Pie, but with like cinnamon donut,
Like jammed into
jammed
it.
into the
But why
pie.
donut? And do you think cinnamon is enough? You feel like
It's too donut-y. The glaze.